Hey guys, welcome back. We're back to work on our Rat Rod Cameo pickup truck. Progress has been slow, but we're getting there. At long last, I've got the body and the bed attached to the truck. Again, it's been fighting me, but we're making slow but steady progress on it. But we're still far from done. The next big thing that I've got going on is making the headers. You can see them here sticking out of the truck. The headers, like I said, when I started, I didn't want just a regular exhaust system running through the truck. I wanted something a little different. So I'd purchased an engine online that came with some headers, and they didn't quite fit. So I decided I was going to make my own out of solder. So what I did is, before I put the motor together, or I assembled the motor, before I painted it, I drilled out all the holes for the spark plug wires and the exhaust headers. I put it in the truck, got it in place, put the body here, and now I've got to put the headers through. I have to make them, fish them through. And the way I've been doing that is I'll take a strip of solder like this, make it a little, a length like this. I roll it out, make it nice and flat. And then, using my tools, I've got these nice, really long, thin needle nose pliers. My first thing I'll do is I'll put a crimp at the end, and that's where it's going to go into the motor. And then I have to figure out, looking at it this way, let's see if we can get some light, on where it's going to go. And then what I'm doing is I'm going through the holes I cut in the fenders. Here, I'd go through here, and I'd slowly work my way around and bend this as needed, and just keep going until I could fish it into the holes. And using the bottom, I can kind of see through the framework. It's not easy, and but this side went along very well, very quickly. This side, this one right here, was a very big challenge, because what I should have done, again, one of those things you don't realize until you do it, is that I should have left the generator off, because the generator hides where this goes. So it was very challenging. I came very close to snapping that off just so I could do it, but I was afraid to break the pulley system. But I got it in place. So that's what we're doing right now, is we're fishing. We're going to take this, we're going to feed it through, look for the hole, we glue it. When I get it about in place, when I know I can do it, I'll reach in there with a dab of glue on top of the solder, put it in the hole, and then I just let it sit and just let it dry out. And now what I'll do is I'm going to go back when it's all done. And these aren't working, or it's not that you could see them, but I'm not really thrilled about the way they look. But I'll be able to go through, and I'll use my pliers and everything, and this is real malleable. I mean, it bends real easy. So I'll go through later, and I'll try to adjust them and make them look more like headers. The other thing I did so far, as you can see here, is I was able to chop the windshield. I was able to do that, and I got it in place. It's not perfect, but it'll do. I got the visor in place, but I'll tell you one thing it looks like I'm going to not be doing, and that is getting the back window in place. There's just nothing I am doing is getting this thing to fit right. I mean, I'm still working on it, but I had to take a break because it's just driving me nuts. I just can't get it to work. And I think the problem is, like I told you when we chopped the top, we weren't working with where the roof was. The pillars were straight up and down like this. They're cantered like this. So just cutting the top or the bottom doesn't make it fit. I mean, if it was straight up and down, it'd be fine, but because of the angles in, it's just not working properly. I would have had to, what I should have done was cut the window right down the center where I made the cuts for the rest of the roof. But of course then I'd have a line down the center. In hindsight, that probably would have been better than having no window at all, but I gotta still play with that, so we'll see what happens. Worst case scenario, there's just gonna be no back window. There's just nothing I can really do, but I haven't given up yet, but I am extremely frustrated with that. So and another thing, some of you may remember when I was talking about this bed. When I originally made this bed, I screwed it up. I had a problem and I tried to strip it, and I couldn't get the paint to strip off this to save my life. And I ended up buying another kit, which is where this came from, and I built the bed out of this kit and put it onto the build that I was doing at the time. Now this came along and I put this together, and I thought the worn out, rough look of the original screwed up bed worked really good. When I tried to get this off, I used oven cleaner, I used brake cleaner, I didn't use purple power, but from some of the other things, from some of the stuff I've read, it's weak compared to stuff like oven cleaner and brake fluid. But I couldn't get this off. As you can see, the yellow is still there. It's because it wouldn't come off. Well, I found out now, modeling tip coming up, how to get this stuff off, and it works like a snap. Here's what you do. Gorilla Glue. Get a little bit of this on your thumb. Grab the item, and then just pull your finger right off. And in an instant, you'll pull the paint right off without a problem. I couldn't get the paint to come off of here to save my life before. Within seconds of attaching my finger with a little bit of super glue on it by accident, it ripped the paint right off. Go figure. So next time you have a body, slather it with Gorilla Glue and just tap your way along the edges with your thumb, and paint will come right off. Right? Go figure. So we have another repair that we have to do here. So let me get back to work to feeding these. I'm not going to try to do these on the camera because my ham hock hands are just going to get in the way. You're not going to see it. So let me get back to work with this, and then we'll be back in a couple minutes. Alright, and we're back. Baby steps, just like Bill Murray used to say in that movie. What about Bob? Baby steps, that's what we got. After a lot of fishing, I was able to get the solder into the holes, into the block, glued them in place. And then what I did is I trimmed them all up just inside the fender wells on the inside, and then I took, where'd it go? Hang on a second. I've got this brass tubing. Okay, I took the larger size. I cut off 2 sections, very small sections, and they fit perfectly. Oops, there you go. Fit perfectly in the holes that I made. Glued them on the inside with the Gorilla Glue, and now I'm just letting them dry. We'll touch them up with put some color on them later. But for now, we'll let that dry. And that part's done. Next step, we're going to tack the velocity stacks. They are sitting in here. They just about all fell off, and I gotta take them and try to figure a way to put them back on. What I'm going to have to do, looking at the truck from this angle, what I'm going to have to do is, instead of having the stacks come up like this to go through the hood, the ones back here won't do it because they're almost behind the firewall. I don't know if I mentioned one of the other videos, but I actually had to cut a hole in my firewall to get this engine to fit because of the angle of the distributor. So what I'm thinking of doing is drilling out each and one of these holes, putting something in there, fine wire, something, and then drilling out the bottom of velocity stacks and have them angled. I don't know if you can see that way I'm looking, But basically, I know I'm probably over exaggerating, but basically the velocity stacks will be angled forward towards the front of the truck like that in order to fit. So that's what we're looking at. Otherwise, I'm not really sure what I should do. I'm too far into it to be able to remove that intake and put another one on. So it looks like I'm going with velocity stacks. Just got to find a way to do it. And really what's going to happen too is the forward ones, see, those are all the same size. The forward ones, it's not going to look right. I'm trying to think of a way to maybe extend them out to make them all level and then cantered over. So alright, so here's what we're going to do for the engine and the velocity stacks. Velocity stack, see, hopefully you can see this. As you can see here, zoom in, each stack has got what some sort of remnants of a nub or a post on there. It's very shallow. They're all different sizes. They're not very accurate. What I'm going to do is, one, I re-drilled all the holes in the intake. So we've got nice holes here that aren't filled with glue anymore, because that's what they were when I was trying to put these in. They didn't fit out of the box into that manifold very well at all. And using a file, I filed down the nub, okay, made it nice and flat, and then with a pin vise I drilled a hole. Okay, I don't think it particularly has to be centered. It'd be nice if it was. I'm just not that good. It is what it is. Then, if you remember, I had that hot staple pack that I had stolen from work. Well, for those at work that happen to see this, I actually found it and just never turned it in. So I got this really cool module of staples, and here they are. You pull them out and they look like this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little bit of Gorilla Glue, I'm going to put it in a hole, put the staple into velocity stack and let them dry. Whoops. Put it in the velocity stack and let it dry. Once that's good and dry, we'll trim down the staple. Pretending the velocity stack is on top of this, we will then, once it's trimmed, put it in here with some glue, and then once we get them all in place, we'll then just use the staple, which is pliable, and what we'll do is sitting here, and we'll just, you can see that, and we'll just bend them a little forward like this, and we'll get the angles that we need, and they should be rather adjustable. That's where we're going. Okay, we'll give it a try and see what happens. Be right back.